Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So tonight, I'm not going to try to pull a fast one on you where I'm pretend like I'm talking about something that's happening now and it's something that happened 100 years ago. I think people are starting to see through that, and I think people understand the reason I did that. It was to kind of highlight the absurdity of National American History and Founders Month. We don't like to talk about American history. Not the bad parts, anyway. So tonight I'm going to talk about something we don't like to talk about because it flies in the face of our national identity. We are the place where people come. People come here to build a better life. People in the United States do not flee. We don't do it. It's the idea. Is it true? No, of course not. Of course not. Hundreds of thousands of people fled during the Civil War. People fled as recently as Vietnam to get away from the draft. And then there was another time, and that's the time I want to talk about tonight. Tens of thousands of people fled every year for a couple of years. Most of them were headed to Canada. And they're leaving out of New York. I know, we don't do that, though. We're the sons of the pioneers. We're Rosie the Riveter. We fix our problems, right? Sounds good. But tens of thousands of people made that journey. Now, their trip was complicated by the fact that Canada and the U.S. have this bizarre agreement where if the person was in the U.S. first, they can't apply for asylum in Canada, and vice versa. But the Canadians, being good people and actually valuing freedom, they found a loophole. Well, if you come through a regular border crossing, we got to return you to the U.S. But if you come through 20 yards up the road, here's your paperwork. So that loophole was used for a couple of years, and then some intrepid people stepped forward and decided to put the U.S. asylum system on trial. I know, people are like, when did this happen? Next week. Next week. Amnesty International Canada is spearheading the charge there. The court proceedings will take place in Toronto. And the argument, and it is a very sound argument, is that the U.S. is no longer a safe third country because the U.S. is violating international law as far as the treatment of refugees. Family separation is obviously a form of punishment, which you can't do to people seeking asylum. The unwarranted detention, so on and so forth. The Canadians are attempting to get out of this agreement. I hope they are smart enough. I hope the Canadian government is smart enough to understand they need to. They need to. As President Trump heads to Central America and tries to hammer out similar agreements with countries that are not safe, it would be in the best interest of the world for the Canadian government to say the U.S. system is not safe. It's not. It's not. The amount of abuse that goes on in those detention centers is just unimaginable. And they claim they're not responsible for it. I really hope that this agreement gets scrapped. And as we talk about American history, it should be noted that Donald Trump gets to join the ranks of the Civil War and the draft as the few reasons people would flee this country. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.